This is your daily reminder. God has not run out of mercy, not for you, not today. Welcome to the New Mercies Podcast. Welcome. Today is Thursday, July the 30th, and I am excited to jump into our reading today. Just so you're aware, here's what's happening. We are going to be in a series starting this coming Sunday in the book of Hosea. With this Sunday, I'm going to be preaching, Lord willing, Hosea 1, 2, and 3, all three chapters in the same Sunday. So pack a lunch, be sure you're ready. Now, as you've seen this week so far, on Monday we looked at Hosea 1. Then on Tuesday we looked at Exodus 34. Then yesterday we looked at Hosea 2. Today our reading plan takes us to Jeremiah chapter 3. There's a reason for all of this jumping around. I hope and pray that by the time we get to Sunday, you have a very robust understanding of where we are going to be for the time in Hosea. As we look today at Jeremiah 3, here's what I want to make sure and help us understand. A little bit of context, right? Jeremiah was way after Hosea. Hosea was prophesying during the fall of the northern kingdom. He was the last prophet for the northern kingdom called Israel. Now there's a southern kingdom called Judah. It was once, both of those nations were once together as one, the people of God. David was the king. There was King Saul, then King David, then King Solomon. After Solomon, the nation split into two different kingdoms, the northern kingdom, southern kingdom. I'm telling you all this for a reason today specifically. The reason we're in Jeremiah is not because he spoke during the times of Hosea. Hosea, again, the last prophet that spoke to the northern kingdom before Assyria came in and took it over and was very clear on how Israel was treating God. Now, fast forward, Jeremiah is 100 plus years after Hosea. He comes even after Isaiah. So as we look at Jeremiah, here's what we need to understand. By the time Jeremiah is here, Judah, the nation of Judah, the tribe or the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom, has already seen its sister, the northern kingdom, fall to Assyria, right? They saw what happened. They heard the prophets' voices. They experienced all of that. And so what we find today is actually spoken to the nation of Judah, to the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom. Now, the reason I wanted to put this in here is because the principles apply today. Exactly what we read in Hosea when he talks about his people, God talking about his people running off to foreign lovers, spiritual adultery, if you will. We see this same language in Jeremiah 3. If you haven't noticed, every text we've read this week has had a theme to it, and that theme could be summed up in one word, and I'm sure that by now you have probably, if you've read the text, you know the word. I'm not going to say it on the podcast just because I know we have children listening. But it's serious, right? It's the serious nature of this. It's God saying you've chased after foreign lovers, and it has been terrible. Israel, here's the difference in the Israel fall and the Judah fall. Israel's fall, they were openly rebellious or openly unfaithful. So they would pursue after idols even externally. They didn't care what they looked like. They were unashamed, unblushing, as I had said before. I believe it was yesterday. Israel did not care what it looked like on the outside. Here's what's happened now by the time Jeremiah gets here. There is a king in Judah named Josiah. Josiah was the last godly king or the last good king in Judah until Jesus shows up. All right, so this is there's a couple of kings in the nation of Judah that are good kings. And what Josiah has done is he's put in reforms. Those reforms have helped to make sin unappealing in the culture. Okay, so if you were to worship the god of Baal, for instance, it was not appreciated. It was frowned upon in the culture. And so what we understand, what we see about that is he made it hard to be rebellious, but it still was rebellious. So what happened in Josiah's reform is all of the idols were torn down. So all the physical idols in the high places were torn down. But do you know what wasn't torn down? The idols in the hearts of Judah. There were still the people of God still longed for and still had this hidden treachery or hidden rebellion against God. So here's what we find in this. So the reform under Josiah, Josiah did the best he could. He put in laws, he put in regulations, he put in rules, yet the people of God still were rebellious within their hearts. It wasn't as open, but it was religious. They covered it with religious language. It's even more dangerous. There's one word, though, that keeps popping up, as you've seen maybe. It's the word return. It's God asking for return. It's not Judah getting their minds right and listening to a leader and saying, I'm going to now pursue after God. It's God standing in the doorway as a husband, begging his bride, please come back. Please return to me. Return to me. What you've seen isn't working. It's never worked. So return to me. Now, what I want to do the same thing we've been doing throughout the podcast. I'm just going to not read any specific terms or verses today, but I am going to talk about them. And I've got a lot of notes today. A lot. We'll see what that plays out to be. So in verse 1, we're in Jeremiah chapter 3. Jeremiah 2 and 3 really go together. So if you want some extra reading today, Jeremiah chapter 2 helps to set up Jeremiah chapter 3. But chapter 3 is how it references Hosea. And so I just want to make sure and make that noted today. Verse 1 of Jeremiah 3 is referring back to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 24. There's a law in the custom in Deuteronomy 24, verses 1 through 4. You can go read the law. It's specifically about what happens whenever a husband divorces a wife. She goes off, she marries somebody else, she comes back. She can't come back according to the law. It's an irreparable relationship. It's polluted. It is a polluted relationship, meaning if she goes out and marries somebody else, and if the husband had a right reason to divorce her, she was most likely, it was this same term that we keep reading in the book of Jeremiah and the Hosea and Exodus 34, this term of this this adultery that's gone on. So he divorces her, she goes and marries somebody else, she comes back, and he can't just accept her back like nothing's happened. That's what they would try to do, but they would go, grass is always greener on the other side, right? So the wife would be divorced. She would be divorced, and then she would go and try to find something better, realized it wasn't better, and then she would try to come back like nothing was wrong. I heard a really great phrase one time that said, the grass is always greener on the side that it's watered and cared for. That one's free today. I didn't even have that in my notes. Grass is always greener where it's watered and cared for. If your neighbor's yard is better than yours, take better care of your yard. I'm feeling it. This is great. So that Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4 is what's referenced in Jeremiah 3:1. It just helps us to understand how the Bible's all connected. Wife couldn't just come back like nothing had happened. The human law described that relationship as being irreparably polluted. But here's what's going to happen. We're about to see some grace. I love it. I love when grace shows up. Verse number 2 is you look to, it tells, God's telling the people of Judah, look to the hills where you once worshiped the idols. Imagine God telling you, look to those places you cheated on me. That's what it's saying there. In verse 3, we see that the scariest phrase in this whole text is found in verse number 3. They had sinned so much and they were so used to it, and it was such a habit that they were no longer ashamed of it. That's a scary place for sin to lead us. So be sure you do not sin so much that you are minimizing the conviction that's within you that says, don't do this anymore, don't do this anymore, don't do this anymore. Now you're just starting to excuse it out, and now you're not ashamed of it anymore. That's scary. Verses 4 and 5, absolutely amazing. This is verse 4 and 5. This is what every single believer needs to hear today. They said the right things. They said the right things, but they did the wrong things. What that means is they were speaking lovingly of God, but they were living defiantly before Him. I'm going to say that again. I like how that one came out whenever I wrote it down. They were speaking lovingly of God while living defiantly before Him. It's religious words with rebellious hearts. It's who sits in the churches every single week. That's who it is. It's the people that you can't tell. They're saying the right things. They're praying the right things. They're doing the right things. On the outside, everything looks like they've got it figured out, that their relationship with God is right, but their hearts are rebellious. That's verses 4 and 5. It's scary. Verses 6 through 8, Israel fell and Judah watched it. That's what happened. I'll tell you this. Judah had more light revealed to them, and so their punishment is heavier. I want to keep going. Verses 9 and 10. Here's what that means. They returned halfway. The nation of Judah, the kingdom of Judah, only returned halfway. They returned with their laws and their rules and their rituals, but they did not return with their hearts. There was reform, but there was no repentance. So Judah had removed the idols from the land without removing them from their hearts, right? That's what's happened in verses 9 and 10 is how it explains that. Verses 11 through 13, here's what I was saying about the light. Judah had greater light and hidden rebellion. Judah got to see what Israel had done, how Israel had done, the prophets, they got to hear all of those words. They got to see, it's hindsight, right? Judah got to watch that, meaning they had a greater light than even Israel did. Can I tell you something? Today, in the scriptures, we have this book. We have some of the greatest light available. We have the greatest light available, meaning this is available to you. That's the reason I podcast, right? To make a higher responsibility level on you. The more you know and understand about the word, the more you're held responsible for. Oh no, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause right now and I'm going to stop listening to this thing. I'm going to unfollow the podcast today. If you're telling me I'm going to have a greater responsibility that I have to answer to, you do. But here's the deal. You get to be closer to God, closer to the presence of God. The scripture keeps going in Jeremiah chapter 3. Listen to what takes place next. Verses 14 and 15. We see a husband who gathers and who cares. Here's what he says. I will find the faithful within you, and I will take to someone, a pastor who will shepherd them well. That's what I will do, because God cares for those who love him and care for him. It says that that's a good husband right there that would gather around the kids that need help and will put them in the right caring circles. Really great. Verses 16 through 18, what we see is presence is greater than the symbol. It talks about the Ark of the Covenant in here. We've talked about that a couple of weeks ago, right? But here's what he's saying. The presence of God is going to be far greater than the symbol that represents the presence. Here's what I want to say with that. I've used this term a little bit when it talks about baptism, but I use my wedding ring as an example. My wedding ring is a symbol of my marriage. Can I tell you this? My wedding ring is not better or greater than my marriage. Right? It's not greater than my wife who loves me, who put this ring on my finger so many years ago. This ring is a symbol, and it's a great symbol. It's an awesome symbol. I love the symbol. But you know what I love more than the symbol? I love the presence of my wife. That's what I love. This text helps me see that people are not going to talk about the Ark of the Covenant anymore. You're going to see God and his presence. You're going to experience it. That's far greater than the symbol where his presence did reside at one point. But what they were doing is they were worshiping symbols. Why? Because they're geared towards worshiping idols. That's what Israel had been prone to do. That's what Judah had been prone to do. They were worshiping idols, statues, things, furniture, right? And so God says, listen, the Ark of the Covenant, greatest piece of furniture you've ever had, that is, you're not even going to remember it whenever the presence of God rests and resides within you. So good. Then we see unity that happens and takes place in verse 18. Verses 19 through 20, sin has not only broken his heart, our father's heart, it's also it frustrated the inheritance that he's given us. He's got a heritage. Verses 19 and 20 are scary. If you read those, you can't read them without a broken heart. It is so sad to think about how a father's inheritance is on the line, also a husband's love, and they've both been betrayed, both of them. It is so sad. Verses 21 and 22, we hear the cry, return, 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 return. And then verses 23 through 24. Here, this is a great place for people that don't even realize the idol that you're worshiping is promising you something. Verses 23 and 24 help explain that idol that made all those promises. Guess what? It's a delusion. You are in a complete delusion if you think that idol that you are worshiping right now is going to give you what it promised you. It will not. Idols are deceptions. Why? Because idols belong to the enemy, and the enemy is a deceiver. He is deceiving you. These idols have deceived you. That Baal that you prayed to, that you thought was going to give you this great wealth or great family or great whatever, has come up short. It always will, every single time. So now what happens? Verse 25, repentance. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. If I can tell you this today, we have the whole word. We have all of it. We have the most light anyone has ever had. We have people that help explain it and show it and care and give to us. I have people that I learn from. I had text messages yesterday from people that I learned from, even people that maybe haven't been in the Word as long as me. But here's the deal. The Lord's speaking to them. And so you know what they're doing? They're sharing it with other people. They're sharing it with me. I'm growing. I'm learning. We have more light than we've ever had. So let's walk in the light that we have. Let's not walk in the darkness. Let's not run away from this great God who loves us and cares for us. Jeremiah chapter 3 is the text today. Read it and see if this God doesn't show you something that will help connect you more with him and help you share him with others.